Hey, yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Action Jackson. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys joint practice versus the Los Angeles Rams. Just to cut it short and brief with you guys, in terms of right now, it did not look good, but that's fine, because I'm going to talk about why it's okay just for today, but we're going to talk about it more in depth after the intro. So, before we hop into the video, I would appreciate if you guys would like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment, and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content. Kyle Yeoman's joint practice notes. He said that it was a tough day for both units for the Dallas Cowboys. The Los Angeles Rams had success on both fields, not exclusively but consistently. Corners had a tough time with Adams, Nakua, and Atwell. The defensive front struggled to get pressure. Peyton Turner did have a sack. Donovan Ezeraku had a strong bull rush, but didn't utilize his full pass set and his full pass rush moves. Dak was precise in two-minute drills and end-of-game scenario. The red zone work was won by the Rams' defense. There was a lot of flags, including offensive PI against Landon Pickens at different times. The run game struggled to find a hole. Blue was the most efficient runner. Turpin was the best wide receiver. And there was a huge grab from Jalen Brooks from Joe Milton before Joe Milton's injury ended his practice. What it seemed like what ended with Joe Milton was that he went to throw a pass. His throwing hand came down on somebody's helmet, ended his day. I think it was more of a precautionary type of thing. I think Joe Milton's going to be fine. I think he should be fine and ready for when we do have a game in 3 days on Friday, when we do go up against the Los Angeles Rams in Dallas. I do think he will be ready for that matchup. So, yes, from what I read, you guys, and from what was the clips in which I saw, it looked like the Dallas Cowboys lost their matchup today. But the reason why I feel that it's fine, no, I don't like it. I don't like that, you went up out there and, you didn't necessarily have your best showing that first time that you went up against the Los Angeles Rams. That's okay. The reason why it's okay, it's the built-in excuse, but it's not going to be a consistent excuse that we can use week in and week out once September through early January, week 18. That's when the regular season ends, is week 18, the first week of January. That, okay, we have a new scheme crap is not going to be able to save you, because the Los Angeles Rams are a playoff team. The reason why I'm giving them an excuse, they are a playoff team. They are a team that if some things go their way against Philadelphia, they're a team that's possibly playing in New Orleans last year. They're a Super Bowl team, in my opinion. I don't think they're, you can stamp them in or punch them in, but I do think that is a secret. That is an underrated, a dark horse team that can win a Super Bowl, in my opinion. I do think that they have the defensive line to give a lot of teams trouble. And the Rams, to me, already had my respect. April 2024, when they drafted Jared Verse in the first round, and they paired that up by getting Brayton Fisk, his teammate, both Florida State teammates, back-to-back rounds. They've been had my respect. So it's not, I didn't turn a new leaf, and I didn't just read the reports and be like, oh, well, damn, the Rams are like this. I already knew what the Rams were. I've been paying attention to the Rams. I used to go to the games. I know what the Rams are, and they know who they are, and that's what it showed you today. They know exactly who they are from an offensive standpoint and from a defensive standpoint. I'm not going to get upset that the Dallas Cowboys couldn't run the ball today. That's a damn good defensive front. And that's one of the best, that's one of the best defensive fronts in the league, inside and out. To pair with Philly, to pair with Detroit, Minnesota, San Fran, I already said Philly, but who out there in the South? Whoever you want, Atlanta, Tampa and them. They have one of the best fronts out there just in the conference alone, let alone the league. So that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I didn't have time to make a video yesterday, but there were some things that I had made a note. You guys can see it right here on the timestamp of my notes. There were some things that I wanted to see in the scrimmage. Again, the Dallas Cowboys, they go back out there tomorrow and they can put their best foot forward again. But that's why we love this game so much, is because you can look crap in 1 week, but you got the next week to figure it out. So Fortunately for the Dallas Cowboys, they have tomorrow to figure it out. Some things that I wanted the Dallas Cowboys to improve, and I wanted to see how well we were going to match up against the Los Angeles Rams. The number one thing was I wanted to know what our offensive line was going to look up against the Rams defensive line with Jared Verge, Byron Young, Braden Fisk, Colby Turner. I wanted to know. But I'm also taking what our offensive line did today with a grain of salt. You have a banged up and beat up offensive line. Your right tackle is dealing with an ankle sprain. You got your left tackle that isn't playing right now. He's dealing with some knee soreness, and he's gonna, a knee fracture. He isn't gonna be back until possibly the second week when we play up against the New York Giants. So when Nate Thomas got to go up against Jared Verse or Byron Young, I'm not expecting him to win every single matchup. Nate Thomas is a 7th round selected or 6th round selected player from Lafayette Tech, like Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Like I don't if he can be a serviceable tackle, I'm not expecting anything major from Nate Thomas. No, not saying that to disrespect his name or anything like that, but 6th, 7th round player. But I'm not expecting him to play like a first round type player. It's fine. I'm not concerned about that. I just need you to be consistent. I'm not picking on Nate Thomas. I'm just talking about this offensive line, because this entire offensive line has something they have to prove, and so does the run game. You saw Kyron Williams dice up our running back. He got a contract, and he chucked the deuces and running away on your defensive line. Your defensive line got out-gapped, out-schemed, and you also got to think about it. We're a team offensively that is just trying to figure this out. We're finally playing modernized football. We've been behind the 8 ball for about almost a decade now. We're finally adding consistent motions and shifts into our offense. Something the Rams have been doing since Sean McVay has gotten there. So that's nothing new to them. Their scheme is already in place. It's like Kansas City with their defense. You already know what Steve Spagnuolo is going to do. Same thing with their offense. You already know what Andy Reid and them are going to implement on the offense side of the football. So there is no identity change. We have an identity change, and it's something that we have to fix. I'd rather take lumps and my bruises now in August, early August, late July, than consistently see them in September. And who knows, this is possibly a team that we have to see down the line. Not only, we're not going to play them in the regular season, but this might be a team you play in January if you're fortunate enough to make the playoffs. So the number one thing I wanted to see was, what does our O-line look like versus their D-line? I wanted to know also, secondly, what was Dallas' skills going to look like versus the Rams' skills on the offensive and defensive side of the football? What it sounded like from the offensive side of the football, the Dallas Cowboys were able to win in their matchups within the 20s and also in the red zone as well. It was just a lot of inconsistency. It was a lot of dumb, offensive OPIs and things like that. Things we need to fix. We're going to be fine. I'm not overly concerned. Most of your OPIs came against your 2 most seasoned veteran wide receivers. I'm not worried about that too much with George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. We're going to figure that out. But something that I have been discussing a lot was, what is your cornerback room going to look like when you have to go up against some real wide receivers? We went up against one of the best wide receiver rooms in the league today, right? In Oxnard, California. We went up against one of the best wide receiver rooms in the league. And that was just, again, in our conference, a team we're fortunate enough we don't have to play this year. But that's the type of hitters you're going to have to play this year. You got week 1, you got Smitty, you got A.J. Brown. Week 2, you're going to have Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt. And then week 3, I believe you got the Chicago Bears, and they got a plethora of wide receivers. And they got an offensive coordinator that whooped you behind last year with the Detroit Lions. They got Ron Wadunze, Luther Burden III, DJ Moore, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet. I mean, they got dogs. You better figure it out. And then in Green Bay, I've been hearing that Jordan Love hasn't been looking too great. But everyone that plays a star somehow plays like prime Aaron Rodgers and prime Tom Brady. But we have to go up against Matthew Golden, Christian Watson whenever he's finally healthy. And then you got to go up against Romeo Doubs and Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave and all them. So we need to fix that secondary. And I've been making constant videos. I made a video the day before camp started about 4 weeks ago. I made a video post-draft needs and what the Dallas Cowboys need to address. I said we need to go sign Asante Samuel, Stephon Gilmore. We need to go maybe look at Jair Alexander. Dallas Cowboys want to find out the hard way. I'm not going to stress and lose sleep over it because I did the work. I put the work in. I made plenty of videos about plenty of secondary members that the Dallas Cowboys should sign to try and make up until we get Diggs, Revel, Deron Bland fully healthy, things like that, Kalen Carson, stuff like that. Third, I wanted to see what the Dallas Cowboys defensive line was going to look like against the Rams offensive line on passing downs and rundowns. It looks like they were garbage in both. Now there was, there was reported. Peyton Turner got a sack. Donovan Ezraku was solid, but he was able to get home a bunch of times. So, again, we don't have Micah Parsons out there. That's what happens when you don't have a damn good pass rush because we have the slide protection, dedicate another person to chip Micah Parsons, Dante Fowler, Ezraku, St. Williams gets to go crazy. Then again, if you get Micah Parsons signed, who knows what your defensive line looks like today. But they got ran on and they got passed on today. And whoever was playing quarterback, either whether it was Stafford or Garoppolo, they were dicing you up today. And lastly, I wanted to see the Dallas use shifts and motions versus the Rams. Again, there's a lot. I know siblings like that. I've been around some people like that. I've been around some brothers and sisters that rise up on each other. But when somebody outside the house disrespects them, they curl it real quickly. So what I mean by it is, for Dallas, you can run shifts and motions versus each other. That's cool. But are you going to run shifts and motions versus a team that really understands what shifts and motions are and understand how to use that for leverage and things of that nature? That's what I wanted to see. Looks like the Dallas Cowboys were doing that. But it's fine. We're a work in progress. I'm not expecting the Dallas Cowboys to be this high-flying offense coming out of the gate. They should be. That's why I want them to play some preseason games. But I'd rather get the kinks out now than we're having issues week 4, week 5, and then it's too late. So that's about it for the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.